We have seen two transactions in the previous two set of videos. The first one was to create a purchase order. The second one was to receive the goods against that purchase order. After the vendor sends us the goods, he's going to also send us an invoice, which is basically a bill. So it says you're going to pay so much and so much for these set of goods, right? So bills, invoices mean the same thing. Invoice is more of a business standard term. Bill is something that we use in common language. So how does an invoice look like? It's going to look like this. It'll have a date and then invoice number, and then who is being billed, where the goods were being shipped, when is the payment due, what are the materials, in what quantities, what is the total, right? At $4, if the quantity is 1 or 10, the total is 40, and the total gets listed there. And it'll also tell you where you need to send the check to. This is a very simplified version of an invoice. You could make it as complicated as you can. Where do you enter an invoice? Again, you always create an invoice with reference to the purchase order. That's how we typically do it. Go to follow-on functions here. Under purchasing, under follow-on functions, right adjacent to goods receipt, you have invoice receipt. The transaction code for that is MIRO, M-I-R-O. So just double click that, and here you can enter a date like so, right? And then an amount. And before you even do that, you should enter the purchase order against which you're trying to create this invoice. You can copy and paste it if you know it, or if not, you can always go and search. Who's the vendor? 1222, right? Hit execute, and it'll list you all the invoices or all the purchase orders that have been created for that vendor. So select your purchase order and select copy, right? Hit enter. And what's the amount here? 400. So enter an amount of 400. That's how much we want to receive the invoice for. Hit enter, right? All your messages are typically gone. Now, you don't need to hit OK here. It's an optional entry. But when you receive the goods, you gotta always hit item OK. But when you're receiving the invoice, this item OK is optional. Click save. There you go. You got the document number created, which is the invoice that we have received, that we are documenting it in the system. This does not mean that we have paid him already. We're just receiving the invoice and documenting it under document number 5105 blah blah blah, right? So you go to MIRO, enter the date that we received the invoice, and get the PO number, enter it here, or you can search for it, and enter the amount in the PO. And until you enter the amount, the message is going to say red, which means it's asking you to enter that amount. Once you enter that amount, balance becomes 0 and it's ready to be posted. Once you save it, your invoice is posted. This is how you receive the invoice. And you can always see it in the PO history. If you go back and look at displaying the PO, and look at, it'll show you a PO number that was created most recently. And if you look at the tabs here, you don't see the PO history tab, right? In order to open a previous purchase order, click on this button. It says other purchase order. Select that, and then you could go and copy and paste it if you know the number, or you could search for it. You could search for it using the search button. In this case, I know the purchase order number, so I'm gonna select that, and you're gonna see the purchase order history. Right? So you have a material document which was created during goods receipt, and you have an invoice receipt which was created just now. So that's how you see the PO history for goods receipt and invoice receipt. And this is the button that you use to open a previously created purchase order, and this button to create a new PO, to open existing PO. So overall, what have we done? In the first video, we have created a PO. In the second video, we have created a goods receipt against the PO. Remember, it's always with reference. And in this video, we are creating an invoice again with reference to a purchase order, right? Always with reference to the purchase order, remember? Let's do an exercise on invoice receipt. The first question is, what is a transaction code to create an invoice receipt? Simple. Second question, does PO history show the invoice detail posted? You've just seen this. Third question is, what happens when the difference amount is large? Difference amount meaning the difference amount between what has been posted versus what is the original PO amount. The fourth question is, do you have to check the OK box at the line item level of the invoice? We have just discussed that.